yeah, first impression, I just thought he was cool. Maybe this is like finally there's someone else that's actually kind of cool in British wrestling.
覚えてない。Counter with chaos. Counter with DDT chaos.
But maybe this time you'll be able to finally get the upper hand on me. But then, I assure you, even if you win the wrestling match, I will win the most important battle of all, the one. Well, obviously I've got, a long history with Chris. I think he's mentioned before that one of the first times we met was when he came to a training seminar when I was coaching him. But actually our first interaction was in the old social media days of MySpace. I wrestled for an independent company in England. Then the next day I got messages of photographs from this kid who had sat in the crowd. Then a couple of years later, he came to my training seminar. And I was like, oh, it's the same kid. Like he's learning to wrestle now. The training seminar was 2010.
2010.
And then that wrestling show was probably 2008.
In the UK.
In the UK. Then probably from that training seminar, pretty soon after, Chris started being on some of the same UK indie shows with me. And then obviously he's a few years younger than me. And because he'd been to a seminar, I think he always sort of had our friendship at first a little bit senpai kyohai. But then pretty soon we become good friends.
The thing I liked most about Zach initially was like in England, in a sea of like British wrestlers in 2006, 7 who were like, I shouldn't say taking steroids.
Yeah, big. You mentioned it in your previous interview.
In a sea of wrestlers who were like bulked up, and they were, I did it anyway, bulked up, and they were like covering themselves in like rub-on tan and like baby oil mixed with DP to have like the smell about it. And they're all doing like these by the books like American style wrestling matches. At that time he stood out because he was like the only one not doing it. He was the only one who was like, well, I've been watching like Jacob 94 and 5 and I like this. And I think even at that time, like 2004, 5, 6, whatever, when he was on his way up, he would have had detractors who were like, what you're doing is not right. And he had like promoters who told him like, why don't you say anything when you come out in your entrance? Like if the show today is in fucking Coventry, you should go, come on Coventry, woo! But he wouldn't do it. And he'd come out to weird like indie music and everyone would be like, well, all the stuff he does is odd, but it's fine because he's good enough or whatever, but like not so exceptional at that time. He wasn't like the best wrestler in the world. He just completely stuck to his guns like all the time, like completely was unwilling to change for anyone. Like he was always very, to his own detriment maybe at times, the wrestler he wanted to be. And I think like, well, I don't know if we have the same goals or the same like aspirations or necessarily want to do the same things. The thing I admire about him most, more than his technical wrestling or like how hard he hits or anything else, which maybe at first was the appeal. That was what I liked about him. I just like that he's so unapologetically Zack Sabre Jr. I think that's the kind of wrestler I want to be. Unapologetically Chris Brooks. And our roots are very different. They mean different things. But I think that's the thing that I admire the most about him and why I respect him so much.
Yeah, so I think it was really during COVID that Chris and I became very close friends, because even though I viewed Chris as the same level, I think before COVID, he still put me a little bit up in a sort of senpai position. But then obviously both, staying and living in Japan during the pandemic, allowed him just to view me as a friend on the same level. Obviously we're experiencing, we're both in the same country, experiencing the same situation. So yeah, our friendship definitely become very much closer during then. But yeah, we were definitely good friends before. I think there's a reason why we've both not only ended up in Japan, become part of the environment in the same way in our different companies. I think we have a similar sort of mindset. His skill, well, we wrestled our first match would have been 2013, I think. And first match together. Yeah, obviously even when he was younger, he was very tall. And I think, he was inspired by similar wrestling to me. There's obviously a reason why we've both ended up in Japan. But yeah, first impression, I just thought he was cool. You could tell that he had interest in, music and film. Like lots of wrestlers at that time, their only interest was pro wrestling, and you could tell it was just very straight. And I was like, oh, that's how I consider myself, someone that is very interested in, other art, music, film. So I was like, maybe this is finally there's someone else that's actually kind of cool in British wrestling.
boy tonight. I didn't even remember it that time much. I can't tell you a single thing that happened in it. I don't remember anything about it. Other than like the feeling before and after. In terms of like what actually happened, I couldn't tell you a single thing. 結構前じゃない ?2017 年覚えた
A lot has happened ever
私何も
since.
覚えてない2017年あんまり
Well, I feel like it's perfect timing for it to happen now. Obviously, we've not wrestled in a singles match at all for the best part of 8 or 9 years at this point. But then, you know, obviously, especially with how close our friendship is now, then the fact it's happening in Japan seems like perfect timing. And then especially, I think Chris has grown so much as a wrestler. And, you know, he's obviously so multifaceted in everything that he does. Like, I think he has such a great vision for things outside of the ring as well. So I'm excited to finally wrestle that Chris Brooks.
I think, and I think I realized in the lead up to Sumidaku and both the lead up to and afterwards, which I guess perhaps I was aware of subconsciously, but I think our relationship has very much switched now, where like although like I really respect Zach still now and appreciate like his position in the wrestling world, I'm not intimidated by the aura of Zack Sabre Jr. anymore. I think it's because probably I'm too close to the real Zack Sabre Jr. But I think it's also because I've made my own personal like progression and steps up for wrestling now to where like I was thinking it before the Sumida match. I was thinking I don't think I'm gonna feel this aura that I usually feel of like being intimidated by him. And then after the match, even though we lost, I was like, oh, I didn't feel it. I felt like I'd really just finally like face him head on. I wasn't looking upwards in a sense. So I think it's in that sense it's completely different to how it was almost a decade ago. I realized I didn't feel intimidated by him, that Yakini was still lost. And I think like my whole thing has always been, not even surpassing. Everyone's always like, I want to surpass you. I just want to be at the same point. And now I feel like emotionally, I'm not overwhelmed by it. It felt like maybe Sumida was just a case of, not physically, just on that day we'd lost. But on another day I could win, it felt like. So it feels like finally now is the time to like, I think I hate when everyone's like, I will surpass you. It's not about surpassing, I just want to reach the same place. And feel like I've truly reached the same place once.
Well, it's going to be in a DDT ring. So I think it's best that I have to expect literally anything. Yeah. Chris has got a good base in, you know, sort of classic British wrestling. You know, when we'd wrestled before, that's definitely a big part of it. And obviously we've both been, you know, hugely inspired by Japanese wrestling. Now, so the first time we wrestled, I think it was like, it was probably me that introduced Chris to a sort of bachi style pro wrestling. Oh. And he had, you know, marks all over him.
You beat him?
Well, I wanted to fight. I wanted to bring fire out of him. You know, he was a very sort of gentle, young wrestler that was like very sort of sweet and timid. So I wanted to bring out, the piss and anger out of him. But now I watch him wrestle and he's the bully beating the shit out of everyone else. So I don't know. I don't know if in this match that I might regret bringing the fire out in Chris 10 years ago.
どうする?
どうする? じゃあ counter with chaos.
自分の好きな音楽
counter
の
with
ステップにして
DDT chaos.
So bring Zach into that DDT style chaos.
もちろん if it comes to DDT and it's not somewhat DDT-esque, then there's no point doing it in DDT. You could do it anyway. これさ楽しくないじゃない? Like in pro wrestling, all you can do is enjoy it. Life too. So I think that's the perspective I am. Why maybe it's too lackadaisical. Maybe I should be more pent up. But I'm just looking forward to it. I'm not intimidated. I'm not worried. I just think it'll be a memorable day. I think people will remember it too.
Chris, let's have a lovely, respectful wrestling match, and then let's have Chris, we are going to have some bachi, some argy-bargy, but maybe this time you'll be able to finally get the upper hand on me. But then, I assure you, even if you win the wrestling match, I will win the most important battle of all, the one at the pub.